Hey, am I live? I guess I am. Facebook has changed things. I hope you can hear me. I used to be able to select an outside microphone, which allowed a much better quality sound for Facebook Living. But then Facebook changed how they, the interface, and I can no longer select my microphone without the whole thing crashing. So here we are. It's been a while since I've done a Facebook Live, and I really wanted to do something this morning, just a Tranquil yoga stretch class that I taught last night, or some variation thereof, and I thought I would do it this morning. So I don't know how you guys are doing out there. I know for me, like there's just so much going on, and it just seems every day to get a little worse and a little worse in terms of the big bad outside world and what's happening. And just when you think it couldn't possibly have gotten any worse, it just does. It's so amazing. And I know, I believe that as difficult as things are unfolding the way they have to. Karmically, in terms of our own evolution, it's just where we are. So let's do some nice movement this morning. We'll take it easy. I've got the mat ready. I'm gonna back up and you can join me. Okay, so let's just start, and again, hopefully you can hear me. I know this sound is not going to be as good as it would have been, but seeing is also half of it, and maybe even more important than me chattering away. So let's come into a comfortable seated position. We'll just take a moment to center. So hands can be placed in Gyan Mudra with the thumb and index finger together, just resting on the legs. And if you'd rather be in a chair, that's fine. I'm all about modifications and making your body comfortable. So let's just tune into our breath and see what that's like this morning. I'm feeling just a little breathless because before I started this, I was running around getting a few things done. So just notice how you're breathing in this moment, whatever time of day it is for you now. And just feel how the inhalation and exhalation moves the body. You might be more in your chest, or perhaps your breath's a little deeper and into your belly. Feel the breath moving in through the nose. See if you can follow its path, in and out. Keeping your attention on that stream of breath. When we breathe in, we inspire. Breath is inspiration. It's a miraculous and mysterious force. So just bring your awareness to that force and become curious about where it comes from, how it moves, where it moves, how it feels. And see if you can begin to either A, deepen your breath, if that's comfortable, or perhaps even slow your breath. Maybe you feel a bit of a longer pause at the top of the inhalation, or at the bottom of the exhalation there can be a slightly longer pause, or maybe both. Or you might notice one is more comfortable as a pause than the other. And now maybe you can start to feel as though the breath is expanding, not just towards the front as we often think of the breath moving in this direction, but also maybe even placing your hands around your upper ribs and feeling, or kind of middle ribs, I guess, breathing in and maybe being able to feel that side rib movement as you breathe. So it's very often with the breath that we don't pay as much attention to, or even allow ourselves to breathe into the side body and also the back. Can you feel the back breathing? Space behind the heart, the back ribs. Can you feel some movement there with each inhalation? And then the falling together as you exhale. So I know breath work is very simple and it might seem quite boring to some. And that's okay, but do realize that there is a tremendous amount of benefit to bringing our awareness to our breath. And you might already feel just from those few minutes of breathing together that you feel more calm and centered in your body. You know, breath work helps with our blood pressure, or it can help with our cardiovascular system. It can increase and boost our immunity. Very, very powerful. And certainly when we're under stress, it's the first thing to go. You know, we start to breathe more shallowly, or we breathe more into the chest, and that can create some anxiety in the body. So never underestimate the power of simple breathing and its ability to change your state. Okay, so let's stand up. I don't know if my head will get cut off. We'll soon find out. Just about, but I can change the angle of the camera slightly. There we go. Okay. So let's stand with the feet about hip width, maybe a little wider apart, and begin to feel your toes and balls of your feet, spreading your toes, letting your balls of the feet be flat and moving towards the ground, and a little spring or lightness in the heels. And then we're just going to start to shift weight from right to left and just feel the surface of the foot. Take your time. This practice, because it's a Tranquil yoga stretch class, is going to be really slow. So if you're looking to wake yourself up with some invigorated exercise, this isn't the class for you today. So we're just rocking left to right. And as you do so, pay attention to, this is all about our, not just proprioception, our awareness of space and our body in space, but our interoception, the awareness of our body parts and our internal experience as we move. So notice how as you shift weight, the surface of your foot changes in its relationship to the ground. Also notice that this is a whole body movement. I could just maybe move my ankles, but you can see how disconnected that looks. So it's the whole body that's shifting weight. And just note how everything is working together. Where do you feel it first? Foot, the ankle, the knee, the hips. Are the shoulders involved in any way? Is there some kind of weight compensation here? And you can also close your eyes and make this a little more of a subtle experience, and perhaps even a little more of a balancing experience as you maybe put most of your weight on one foot at a time, either lifting or keeping the toes on the ground of the other foot. So just a light amount of connection, or you can actually lift the foot off and balance. And just notice how that feels as you shift. And of course, if you have balance issues, it's very, very important to have a chair near you that you can grab if you feel like you're losing your balance. Okay, and then feel free to do it at any pace or speed you'd like. So, there really aren't any right or wrong ways to do this. I'm just giving you suggestions to explore your own body movement. And we're going to just rock now on the feet forward and back. So from the toes and the balls of the feet, and then back to the heels. And just notice how this feels different than what we were just doing. Note also the roll through the foot and how the relationship to the ground changes. Also notice that moment, both back and forward, where you might feel like you would lose your balance. And there's that little moment of grip. So see if you can find those two extremes without falling over. And then notice where you might be gripping. And see if you can soften around that. So one of the things as I come forward, I notice, for example, that my toes want to cling and grab. And that actually destabilizes me. When I can stay spread and wide, there's that moment of gripping, but then I can be in that same place and let my toes soften and take some of that stress and grippiness out of my feet. Good. And then you can come up to your toes if you like. Do it at your own pace and speed. It's your exploration. Waking up the ankles, the toes, cracking. Okay, and then pause. So let's just stand for a moment in mountain. If you'd like to take your feet a little closer, feel free. Hopefully, again, feeling more centered. As the breath helped us to center, so too can this shifting of weight and kind of mapping our base, our feet, our support, our foundation. Okay, so now we're going to do some movement with the arms, and then we'll add in the legs. So the arms will be going in the same direction overhead. And if you have any shoulder issues, for instance, I had a student yesterday with a bad shoulder, and so she was just doing the movement across the body right at the level of the chest. And that's perfectly okay. You just want the arms to work in kind of an equal way, as opposed to having, one arm up and one arm down. So if it's overhead's okay for you, then just go ahead and take the arms overhead and around. And once you feel comfortable with that movement, you can start to add the breath. So we're inhaling up and exhaling down. Good. And this is, my hands are really wide. My fingers are jazz hands. And my elbows, though, I'm not locking my elbows. And I'm not going any further than is comfortable for the shoulders. So breathing in as you come up. Exhaling as you come down. Now, if you'd like, you can start to bring some spiraling through the arms. So you can twist through the arms as you move them. And there's no right or wrong way to do this, so it's just what feels good for you as you move around. You will feel the fascia, the connective tissue getting lengthened as you move. Let's do one more of those. It's kind of almost a Middle Eastern looking dance. Belly dancing. And then rest. Good. So just notice how that feels through the arms. Notice the impact on the breath. Check in with your feet. Are you still relaxed on the ground rather than gripping to stand and balance? We will now bring the arms in the other direction. So first, just a straight up and down, no twisting or spiraling through the arms. Breathing in as you go up and out as you come down. And we will add some lower body to this in a moment. So nice and easy here, we don't have to overexert. In fact, overexertion tends to be detrimental to our nervous system and all the things that we're trying to achieve in practicing yoga. Okay, you can start to add some of the spiraling through the arms. And of course, if the body responds with a yawn, or you want to take a deep breath, or just pause or rest somewhere, or a particular place feels really good, hold it. Last time. Okay, so again, pausing. In mountain pose, resting, letting your shoulders now relax. Release all the tension in the arms and the contractions that were necessary for that movement. Good. Now, I'm going to invite you to do the same movement, and this time we're going to bend the knees with the movement. So you're welcome to stand a little wider in your feet if you would like. Once you get going, you can determine where you want to have your legs. So we're going to do the same sweeping movement up with the arms, but as we come around, we'll be bending the legs and swooping forward. So here, the important thing is going to be really using the strength of the buttocks and the legs here, maybe even moving the legs as if apart, as you come down, so that you're not hanging off your spine or stressing the lower back as you come down, or hanging or rounding through the back. So the bending of the knees and bringing that the upper part of the groin to meet the lower part. Okay, so up, breathing in again as you come up, swinging the arms as you come down, and exhale. And with this one, there's a little more side body motion. So you can see there's, bending over to the side here as I come around. So there's a really good opportunity to lengthen the side body or shorten the side body, depending on which side we're talking about, as you come around. Oh, it feels so good. Again, my arms are not stretched to the max. My hands are, my fingers are, but my elbow joints are soft. And you can come down as far as you want. You can even maybe sweep the ground, but you don't have to. You might only be coming down a little bit. Or you might try all variations and see how that changes the sensation as you move. Oh. Make sure that you're breathing. Oh, and again, if you feel a place where you just want to kind of hold, you can do that. And let's start to go the other way. So just kind of seaweeding the arms to the other side. Kind of get the sense of maybe seaweed underwater, or like wheat blowing in a field. And remember, again, you don't have to come down far. You might be rounding more through the upper back, and that can be really nice. A nice sensation just to move the upper body. Still bending your knees, but you're not coming down to the ground. That's an option. Good. I have no idea how many we've done, but I think we're going to do a couple more, and then we will switch. Okay, so back into a mountain pose. Just feel the effects of that through the body. Oh, my spine feels so good right now. Just notice if you're standing a little taller. Relax your shoulders. Check in with your breath. Okay, so I don't have blocks here. Let me grab a couple. So you may or may not have blocks, but you might have something else that you might need for this particular forward fold that we're going to do. Now, the other thing is, if it's uncomfortable for you to bend forward, or if you have any like high blood pressure problems, then you can always use a chair instead of the blocks. So this is just, the blocks are just to allow you to come into a forward fold that is comfortable for your back, so that you can maintain a straight back with your weight more towards the balls of your feet rather than your heels, which will cause you to kind of hang off the spine. So you notice the blocks can be stood on the high end or the mid-range or even the flat end. Now, if you're going to use a chair for this, let me just show you that real quick. So you would just place the chair in front of you and then you would forward fold this way. Okay, so that again, it takes a lot of the pressure off the back. But again, make sure that you're not leaning on the heels. You want most of your weight on the balls of your feet. Okay, so once you're there, you can explore how wide apart you want your feet. And then bring your fingertips to the chair, to the blocks, or to the floor. Just check in that your heels are not, that they can be easily lifted from the floor, or maybe even maintain just a hair of space underneath. Now here, I'm going to invite you to explore some movement. So again, it's not that there's a particular pose that we're doing, so much as we're exploring sensation as we maybe lean the body towards one leg, or walk the hands over to the other side. You might try bending away from what you're leaning towards, or bending the knee that you are leaning towards. So it's not that there's any right or wrong here. We were exploring sensation, and it can be really nice actually once you warm up, so just maybe do a few more of moving the trunk side to side. You can hold and stay in one place. Just check every now and then how your weight is distributed on your feet. And make sure that your back is comfortable where you are and that you don't feel any strain whatsoever in the lower back. And what I was going to say before, once you've warmed up a little bit, it can be really nice to use the opposite arm towards far or distant foot and kind of cross through and over. You may or may not reach that foot. You can hold on to maybe the upper outer thigh. And the distance of the legs will have some determination on how easy or difficult that is. So if I brought my legs closer together, for example, then it's quite easy to reach with the opposite hand. And it's lovely because you can resist with that shoulder, or really it's the whole arm that's resisting and pulling back. And it just does something for all those muscles around my lower back that just feels so good. Now the other thing that you can do here, I hope I'm not giving you too much all at once, I'm just trying to give you some ideas and possibilities. So you can plant the hand right under the center of the heart. With the other elbow, just let that elbow float up towards the sky for a little bit of a twist through the middle back. And then if you like, open that arm, but rather than what people tend to do is they completely dislocate their shoulder, and they open their arm and they're kind of twisted back and yanking. Rather than that, let your elbow lead and then open your arm from the elbow. There's no reason to do that. And again, you might have to check that you're not weighting your heels. And if you were in the chair, then you would be just placing the hand on the chair or on a block. So let's switch sides if you're doing this with me. So elbow reaching back, twisting through the middle back. Equal weight on the feet, hips are forward. Careful not to push away the ground with the supporting arm. Let that elbow soften slightly. And then you can extend from the elbow the upper arm. And breathe. Good, and then I'll just give you another minute to explore sensation here. You can return to just shifting your weight, both hands on the floor, or you might even come down into a bit of a lunge here. If you are in this position with me, then just bring the toes back, flex that extended leg. And maybe shift to the other side. Okay, from here we're just going to come onto our bottoms and onto our backs. So we'll have the knees bent to begin. And let me actually change the camera tilt a little. Hi North Star, you were here. Okay. So roll your back down to the ground. We'll have the legs bent, constructive rest to begin. And here too, I would like you to have more of the weight on your toes than your heels as you place your feet. And let's just give the body a moment to relax and arrive on the ground. So as you do so, you might feel things wanting to unwind, like I just felt this something gripping here and it started to unkink and unfold, and my leg wanted to open. So if that happens, you can just widen your feet a little, let your knees drop in, and that will allow you to release all of the stress of holding the legs up. So can you get a sense of, as you breathe, those ribs moving towards the side body and even towards the back body, and feel the breath behind the heart as we did when we were sitting? Can you feel that same movement on your back? And now from here, again, you might have to reposition your feet a little, bringing your toes a little closer to your bottom. We're going to just, it's not that we're necessarily lifting our heels mechanically, but you want more of your weight on your toes. And just press in with your toes and see what happens. If you'd have kept pressing, what would the next thing, what would be the next thing to happen in your body? Can you feel that the feet and the pressure of the feet on the ground is having an impact on your pelvis? And maybe the impetus is to lift the pelvis, but not from lifting from here, which is what we usually do, tighten the buttocks, tighten the thighs. Rather, use the energy of the feet in towards the ground and let the pelvis rise, almost float up as a result. Now I'm doing something I shouldn't be. I'm turning my head to look at you. That's a no-no. And you shouldn't be doing it to look at me either. Okay. So we don't want to put any undue stress on the neck when we're in this position, which is why we shouldn't be turning the head. You can lower your back and then lift through your feet again. Just float your pelvis up. So you'll feel connected through the balls of your feet. And as you rise, and again, the other thing that we tend to do, I turn my head but my feet are down. The other thing we tend to do is we lift and push our butt up towards the ceiling and tighten everything. And we're trying to get the pubic bone up towards the ceiling. You don't have to do that here. Just be very easy and allow everything to rest like a hammock from the knees through up to the middle back. Now the toes and the middle back are our support, and so those are the two ends of the hammock, or where the hammock's hanging from. So again, maybe finding your toes again. Just starting by pushing into the ground with the toes. You might even push in with one and then the other, just to feel how the pelvis tips. And then as you press in with both feet equally and let the momentum continue, letting the pelvis float up. And maybe the spine even lengthens back. And then feeling the weight right between the shoulder blades and on the toes of the feet. Maybe starting to reach away with the knees, but without pushing. Maybe even feeling the tissues of the core falling in and upward. Good. And then rolling back down through the mid-back. And releasing. We can stretch our legs out long here. Feel free to bounce your legs, especially if any tension collected in your knees. So for the next few minutes before Shavasana, final resting, feel free to do whatever you would like here. So just let the body kind of lead. What does it feel like it wants to do? What feels tight? What wants to move? And just let it happen. There are no right or wrong. And if you're not sure what the body wants, take a moment to listen, and something will start to move. And it might feel awkward, or it might feel perfectly right. So you can do something kind of posy, you could take your knees into your chest, or just one. You can circle through your hips, that might feel really nice. You might bring your legs up. So just follow your body. It doesn't have to be a pose. It can just be a cat stretching its body. And I know the word stretch doesn't really work in the yoga world anymore, but it's the best we have other than pandiculation, and I'm not going to use that word because people don't tend to know what I mean when I say pandiculate, no matter how many times I explain it. And there's always new people watching. So I'll explain anyway that a pandiculation is like what cats and dogs do, and they don't really stretch. They don't, a cat doesn't put its legs straight out in front of it and reach for its toes. That's not the cat. The cat is, it pulls itself in two different directions. It tightens itself in two different directions, and then it releases, and everything comes back. That's a pandiculation. Feels good. See, when you pandiculate, you discover things you never knew. Or have long forgotten. So let's take a long body stretch here. Or a long body pandiculation. So I want you to reach your arms overhead, your feet down and away, either with the feet flexed or pointed, and then just imagine wrapping all of your muscles around your bones as you reach. Maybe your back arches, or maybe you bring it back towards the mat and flatten it. Reach tight. Ooh, and then soften and bring everything back in. If you'd like to repeat that, you're welcome. That one felt pretty complete to me. And then when you're ready, we'll just come into a nice sponge position here. And if you'd be more comfortable with your knees bent, that's fine. If you need anything under your knees, in fact, I have a bolster and that I think will feel good to me this morning. So you can put something under your knees so you can more completely rest. We want to always go for the highest level of comfort in our practice. We're not here to stress out the body. There's plenty of that out there. We're here to relax the body, to nurture the body. So I could say a bunch of stuff about, releasing the muscles of the face and all of that, letting energy out through the palms of your hands and the bottoms of your feet. But that's all I'm going to say, because I want you to just appreciate some quiet, some stillness and silence. can start to bring some movement into your fingers and toes. And maybe a little more through the core of the body. Just preparing yourself to shift back into your everyday, day-to-day, day-to-do-da day. And the first thing that you might want to do is just roll to your side before you come up and give yourself a moment here. I've talked before about Shavasana being corpse pose and a death to our to everything that was weighing us down, to our past, to our concerns and worries. And that this is a moment of preparing for that rebirth, that sitting up again and being reborn in this moment. So don't rush that passage. And then you can press up to a sitting position, come slowly. And you're new again. Okay, let's rub the hands together. Bringing them in towards the chest, pressing the hands equally right to left, left to right. Tall through the spine as we breathe in and release the breath. And we'll chant. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Thank you. Have a tranquil day.